ground, President Uhuru Kenyatta has accused the United Nations of attempting to apportion blame and taking an arbitrary decision to fire the former UNMISS commander, Lieutenant General Jonson Mogoa Ondieki. On 2nd of November, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sacked the Kenyan commander following a damning report accusing him of failure to protect civilians during violence that broke out in a hotel in the South Sudan capital. But President Kenyatta says the decision was hurried and should have been informed by wider consultations. He made the comments while attending an annual dinner for members of the diplomatic corps in Uganda held at Serena Conference Center in Kampala last evening.
The President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, has fired barbs at the UN for dismissing Lieutenant General Jonson Mogoa, who was the commander of the UN mission in South Sudan in the war-racked country. Kenyatta made the comments while attending a dinner at the Serena Conference Center in Kampala, hosted for the diplomatic corps. He accused those who took a decision of acting arbitrarily and trying to find a scapegoat shortly after mayhem broke out in the flashpoint capital of South Sudan on July 8, 2016.
But then when you have an international community, an international multilateral organization, take a decision without consultation, without any debate, because, and I must say, of a very unfortunate incident that happened in Juba, a most unfortunate incident, and one which we condemn highly.
In August 2016, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sanctioned a probe to inquire into the killings and rape that came on the heels of the fighting that started at the presidential palace, pitting killed soldiers against Machia's bodyguards. On 2nd November, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sacked the Kenyan commander following a damning report accusing him of failure to protect civilians during the violence. Despite the dismissal of Kenya's commander, Lieutenant General Jonson Ondieki from UNMISS peacekeeping mission in South Sudan, President Uhuru says Kenya will not agree to be scapegoated over what he called failure of the entire system and mission.
How long has the UNMISS mission been in South Sudan? How many South Sudanese have died in Bentiu, in Wa? How many South Sudanese women have been raped? What has UNMISS been doing that whole period? Isn't there a problem? But now, because of one incident, somebody must take the blame.
He also fired a veiled barb at the International Criminal Court, saying barely after Donald Trump was announced president-elect, the Hague-based institute should have commenced a probe on post-election violence.
Of the people of the United States, that they have elected a president, and we accepted their sovereign right to do so, despite the fact that there were violent demonstrations. In fact, I was quite tempted to look for Fatou Bensouda to put a case against post-election violence in the United States.
Kenyatta told the audience that it's high time for the Security Council to take into account the views of other countries that do have so much clout and leverage in the international sphere.
When we stand there and we say the Security Council needs to be reformed, it needs to be reformed so that it can take into account the views of countries as small as Kenya. Regardless of how small you are, you must have a voice.
Kenyatta contributed $20,000 toward the Uganda Cancer Institute, while President Museveni, who was represented by Prime Minister Ruhakana Rugunda, gave 100 million shillings.
Focus on your part is very, very much appreciated by government, because this enhances the work and the role of government and the people in the fight against cancer. As all of you know, cancer is ravaging both our country and our region. It is on the increase, and our capacity to deal with it is not as well developed.
The funds raised from the dinner will be used to kickstart an early detection center at the Cancer Institute. Aaron Mukama, NTV.